Hello, this is a few short videos that will hopefully help introduce the new functionality that's been introduced into the build drafting system for copy and paste. Hopefully this means, or this way of describing the new functionality will be a little bit more understandable than trying to describe it in an email, and also it should demonstrate how it works rather than, like I say, trying to describe it. So the scenario that we're currently looking at here is if we were to create a completely new section. So this is a brand new section that's being introduced into a chapter that's being written from scratch. And we want to paste some language that's been originated from somewhere else. Doesn't really matter. It's come from somewhere else and it's being provided as either a Word document or a WordPerfect document or even HTML. This video will hopefully help show how we can get that content into a draft bill. So what I've got here, I've got a brand new draft bill with a brand new section, nothing too clever. And so if we just go to a document that contains some language. So we've got a couple of really basic paragraphs, which you could probably see I've ripped off from somewhere from the Missouri statute. And if we just select those paragraphs, then we just simply do a Control V and a Control C, and it will place the language into the draft bill. There is a known issue or something I'm not fixed yet, where it seems to put the paragraphs into, it always leaves a blank text, but that's easily resolved by hitting the backspace. So what have we got now? We've actually got two completely new paragraphs. It's worth bearing in mind that whilst the numbering actually looks like real numbering, it isn't real numbering yet. It's not recognized by the system as paragraph numbering. So what I mean by that is if I introduce a new paragraph after here, so if I hit, you'll notice that the first, or the number one, if this was recognized as a subdivision, then the first option would be subsection or subdivision after. But you'll notice that it's got back to margin. So the system's actually recognizing these, or it's seeing these particular paragraphs as back to margin paragraphs. So if I hit that, well, I'll tell you what, I should have hit the other one. If I say I want to introduce a new subsection, you'll see here that that new subsection has become 1. So the system needs to become aware of the numbering. So what I've done, I've created some new features or some new tools that can be used to process the numbering. I'm hoping that this is not going to be too complex or too convoluted. I think it's probably a better word. Obviously this can be worked on to improve the process if need be. So you'll see there's a new import submenu under the drafter menu option, and then there's the first one here is highlight numbering. So what that's going to do is it's just simply going to run through the document, or run through the current sections, shall I say, and identify any numbering that the system recognizes. It's recognized as potential paragraph numbering. So this is just a little tool. So for example, if this document was, if we pasted a much, a lot more content, then we'd need to go through the content and make sure that the system is recognizing the numbering, make any adjustments manually to the format of the numbering. It is using pattern matching, so it should identify the patterns or the type of numbering that the host currently uses. And then the next phase, once the content has been worked in a way that makes all the numbering recognizable, the second part is to process the numbering. If you wanted to simply clear the highlighting, oops, If you want to clear the highlighting, then you just hit that, and it just simply removes the highlighting from the section. And you don't need to highlight before you do process numbering, but it just gives you an indication as to what will be done. Now you'll notice that once the numbering has been processed, that this particular any subsequent paragraphs have now become indented. So this is showing that the paragraph is now recognised by the build drafting system as a subdivision. I think it is, isn't it? Just check a subsection. I beg your pardon. One thing you'll notice is that the numbering is slightly out of sequence with the paragraph I inserted. A simpler way to rectify that is just to do the renumbers paragraph. So you can either hit the renumber button, or if I remember rightly, Control Shift and R, which will, as you can see, it will renumber the paragraphs. And that is, I'll tell you what, I'll do a slightly more complex example. So here we have, again, some existing language. So once you've done one copy paste, there's absolutely nothing preventing you from doing the second. And if I hit Control V here, now when you paste in paragraphs, what I said right at the beginning is that ABBYTEX Editor will try to find the correct location, or maybe I didn't say it actually, thinking about it. What ABBYTEX will try to do, the build drafting system, sorry, will try to do is try to find the best location to insert the content. If it's unsure, then it will ask you whether you want to insert the content in the current cursor location or the next valid location for a paragraph. So perhaps the wording's not particularly great, and again this can be modified if required. So what I'm going to do, I want to insert new paragraphs, so I'm going to say insert new, and what will happen is that the language will be inserted directly beneath the current paragraph. So if there was another paragraph there, then it would have been put in between. And again, if we go to, you can see here that the numbering is basically just pure text numbering. So I can, if I oops, didn't want to do that. I can, if I so choose, I made a right mess of that. I can, if I so choose, simply remove the numbering or reinsert it. Basically, you can do essentially what you need to the content at this point. And if I go to Drafter and then import highlight numbering, we'll see that the numbering is highlighted, and then we can simply again process the numbering. And then if we renumber the paragraphs, you'll see that the paragraphs are following, the paragraph numbers or subsection numbers are following the correct sequence. And from here on in, if we wanted to insert a new subdivision, sorry, then we can simply do that, and the paragraph or the subdivision numbering is updated accordingly.